How's it, everybody? Welcome to today's episode of the Corona Golf Show. Today we're going to discuss the terms of swing plane, what the plane is of the golf swing, where the club needs to travel, and what do the coaches mean when they talk about the club is not on plane or the club is on plane, and then also the variations of the plane, what type of plane angles is good and bad, and what suits you best as a golfer. So we're going to get going right away. We're going to do... So the first explanation pretty much is very simple. And then I'm going to demonstrate this. But basically we're going to look at your golf club and think of this as a Star Wars kind of wand. Okay, so we've got lasers coming out on the butt end of the club, and we've got lasers coming out on the club head point of the club. Okay, so these two lasers, when we swing the golf club, needs to always be pointing at the target line at all times. Then your club or your swing is on plane. Okay, there's variations of this plane, but one of these two ends, these two lasers as we refer it to, need to be pointing on the target line, at the target line at all times. So I'm just going to demonstrate it with this rope. I've put down a rope here. Imagine this rope being infinite all the way back and then all the way to the target, this rope being our target line. So that's our reference point. You can do this at home. Just put a piece of tape all the way on the ground, up against the wall or up against that wall. Get yourself two lasers, one this side, one that side, and you'll see it'll really make a big difference in the plane of your swing. Okay, so when we start, this club head laser is obviously pointing at the target line when I'm setting up. So that's pointing at the ball at the target line. When I take it back, I want to trace this target line with the laser. So the laser is shining down the target line all the way back there. If it's not pointing at the target line, it needs to be parallel to the target line. So there my club is parallel to the target line. And then from there, as I start going up, the butt end of the club, this laser, is now going to start pointing at the target line all the way up there. Okay, so there, when I start hinging the club, it's pointing on the target line. Now, as I'm going back, I'm tracing this target line all the way back to the top. As I come down, I trace the target line again into the parallel position. Now, the front end laser is now going to start shining at the target line again, all the way into impact. Okay, so that's pretty much the explanation of the plane. We get different variations of this. Think of the plane being this circle. So the laser is pointing at the target line at all times. And now we can put this in different angles or degrees. Okay, so I can have a flat plane. So this circle is quite flat, pointing at the target line. Or I can have a much more upright swing plane, but it's still pointing at the target line. Usually these swing plane variations is related to your height. Most of the times it's not a definite or guarantee, but a shorter person would automatically have to be a little bit more rounder in his swing or his plane. Then a taller person like me would probably be a little bit more upright, with the plane. Then you get, if you think of swings like Jimenez or Kuchar, they've got a very kind of hand path that goes more around the body. They're still on plane, but more of a flatter type of hand path. And then you get people like Justin Thomas, who's a little bit higher with his hands. He's got more of an upright type of swing plane, okay? For his length, I would say, in comparison to his length. I'm going to hit a few shots just to kind of show you on camera the variations of the swing or the plane in the degrees. But again, the lasers are always shining at the target line. So the flatter plane, my laser is still pointing at the target line. As I hinge the club, this laser is still pointing at the target line, but it's a little bit flatter. The lasers are still pointing at the target line as I swing through the ball. But in an upright one, tracing the target line, this is a lot more upright, hands is more upright, but this butt end of the club is still pointing at the target line all the way back and through as I swing through. It's just the degrees that differ. So when you look at your golf swing, go look back at, imagine when you draw lines or you take a slow-mo video, make sure that those lines are always pointing, or the lasers are always pointing at the target line. a lot of amateurs go wrong in the start of the swing, actually. To be honest, most people, the majority of people actually just kind of get the club on the inside very quickly. You can see this club is not parallel to the target line, and then if I hinge it, these lasers are now pointing at the wall up there and not at the target line where it's supposed to be. It actually just kind of goes wrong straight from the start of the swing, instead of just kind of tracing the target line all the way to the top. Here's the variations of the swing plane real quick. I'm going to pull up another screen. I've got the TrackMan there. We've got a number here called swing plane. That's going to give us the degrees of the plane as we go back and through the ball. And then we've got the picture here on the right. There's a kind of pane of glass there that we want to see. You'll see that that'll go either flatter this way or more upright. First, I'm going to do the flat swing, the Matt Kuchar and Jimenez type of swings. Actually, I'm going to do my regular swing first. Okay. So my regular swing, that particular one, nice straight shot actually. That particular one, it was 66 degrees. I'm more or less in that range, 66 to 63 is where I'm kind of at for my height. Now I'm going to do the flat one. Now watch how this kind of, the difference in the swing, and then watch what it does to those degrees. Okay. Okay, so that ball went a lot left, 64. I can exaggerate that a little bit more. Typically, it's harder for me to do a flatter plane because of my length than an upright plane. So 64 wasn't that big of a deviation. I'm going to try to exaggerate that a little bit more. Okay, so I really tried to go around my body a lot there. There you can see it goes to 62. So it kind of dropped down. Now I'm going to do a more upright one, more like people like Justin Thomas. A little bit closer to the ball, hands go higher, and then you'll see the difference here, 65.8. Let's try to do that a little bit better. Going to go really close to the ball now and upright with the shot. Okay, that should make a big difference. 73. Okay, so big difference there in the swing plane number there. It changed from my natural 64, 65 to 73. One more again for the flat one. So flatter people obviously are a little bit further away from the ball to kind of get that plane a little bit more around them. .62. That's the best I can do for my height. I can get it probably to about 59, but it seems like that's what it allows me. My normal one is more in the range of 67 or so, 65 I would say. And then the upright one is easier for me to do because of my length, and that went all the way up and above the 70s. Okay, so very nice explanation today about swing plane. Thanks guys for tuning in. Next week I'm going to start a show called the 1 Minute Masterclass, where you can improve your game of golf just in 1 minute. Go subscribe on YouTube to stay up to date with those videos. And yes, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care.